Thank you for having me today. As the young gentleman said, my name is Nicolette Franck, and I'm glad to be here to speak at my first TEDx talk. This is a little bit about me and my family. 2 dogs, yes, I have a full-time job, and I love to be involved in the community, and I also coach skating on the side. This was forever my passion. Wearing big equipment, stopping pucks. I played in college, I still play today, and it's how I identified myself, in addition to being a mom and a full-time worker and everything. But this is what I've always done and I love to do. I never imagined myself being in spandex as my sport. In 2019, after having my 2 little ones, I started playing again. I took 5 years off, and I started running to stay in shape. But then the pandemic hit. We all know what happened in 2020. It was a tough year. People were dying everywhere, and people were suffering. I personally was affected as well by losing someone close to us in our community, a mother of 3 who had cancer. She fought the battle for 5 years, and her fight ended. That hit me hard, and a lot of us hard. Pandemic hit. I lost my 2 grandparents during that time, not due to COVID, but I really do think it attributed to the loneliness and eventually their departure. I decided to start running. I needed to be active. Everything was shut down. Rinks were shut down, gyms were shut down, my kids' activities were done, so we'd run around in the yard, and I decided to just get out there and start running again. I didn't really track my pace, I didn't track my distance, I just wanted to get out and run. I decided it's outdoors and it could be pretty safe, and really, we all just trying to survive during this time. So I found some small groups that I could start running with. I decided to sign up for a virtual race. The Detroit Free Press was having a virtual half marathon. I hadn't done a race in a little while, let alone that distance. And the virtual race thing, I wasn't sure if I liked it or not, but basically you go out and you do your race and you enter your time. I thought it'd be fun, and I found out one of my friends, Amy, was running it. I asked her if I could join her along the West Bloomfield Trail, and she said, "Do you mind if my friend Stacy joins?" I said, "Sure, no problem," and it was her first time doing a half marathon. I said, "Great, we can do it together." On October 18, 2020, in the West Bloomfield Trail, we met each other in the morning. We tried to make it seem like we're doing a real race and get excited, but it's nothing like the Detroit Free Press with 40,000 people. That said, Stacy shows up, and she has an entourage of folks, people I didn't know. They all were wearing matching jerseys and shirts, and we just took off, started running down this trail. I found out they put water out for us, which was so great, and they were cheering us down the path. At some point, this little woman comes up beside me. Her name's Patty, and she's here today. She says to me, "Hey," we start talking about our families and we get to know each other, and that's when she says, "What's your goal?" A goal, I mean, in my mind in 2020, it was about surviving at this point, but I tell her, I blurt out, "I really want to do an Ironman 70.3 by the time I'm 40, or my 40th year." This just came out of me. I knew I've always wanted to do triathlons. I had told myself, even back in college, that I want to do triathlons. It felt like the epitome of athleticism, right? You had to be a perfectionist when it came to swimming, biking, and running. I knew how to run somewhat, but I didn't really know how to swim, let alone bike a long distance. But in my mind, it was something I've always wanted to do. I even talked to people about it, and I'd go around, I'd see Ironman symbols on people's backpacks in airports, and I'd go to someone's house and I'd see their husband had done an Ironman, and it always felt like something was calling me to do a triathlon. So I said it. The same time Patty tells me that she's going to do a Boston Marathon. She had just started running about 10 years before that, and she ended up doing the Boston Marathon. So for context, the half distance of an Ironman, so Ironman is the brand of races that runs half distance triathlons and full distance triathlons. And a half is 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike, and 13.1 mile run. On that day, I did it. She said to me, "Hey, you should probably go talk to that gentleman up there. He has a triathlon team." I mean, what a coincidence. I go up there and I said, "Hey, I'm supposed to talk to you." His name's Roman. He's now my coach. And I said, "I'm supposed to talk to you. This lady, Patty, told me that you have a triathlon team." He said, "Yeah, so do you have a bike?" "No." "Do you have a race in mind?" "No." I figured out I had work to do. And he said, "You take care of that and then contact me." And so I did. I committed to it. Within 3 weeks, I found a bike on Facebook Marketplace. Perfect bike for me. I still use it today. I found a wetsuit as well. I found a team. I joined run clubs. And that lady, Patty, she says to me after the run, she said, "Hey, what are you doing Tuesday morning at 5 a.m.? I mean, I think my calendar was pretty empty at that time. And I said, "Nothing, why?" And she said, "Well, come join me on the run." I was never a morning person. I never told her that, and that was what I was thinking. But I said, "Sure." I was in pain that day because I hadn't run 13.1 in a while, but I joined her and a group of other people, which we now continue to train together. The other scary part was trying this, putting a wetsuit on and going into open water. Patty was there that day, and we celebrated quite a bit because we finally, got our wetsuit on, let alone got in the water, made it across the lake, and came back. That was survival at that point. We joined at Walled Lake, and then we made it a habit to meet every Friday morning at 6 a.m. and swim. We even started bringing coffee pots. I made a plan. I started swimming spring 2021 in the pool and in the lake because that's something I had never really done. I barely could make it across one length of the pool, let alone across a lake. I didn't mind water, but to actually go across a lake or a long distance, a mile, was something I was not familiar with. So I made a plan, and I decided that if I put some races on my schedule, I'll actually do them. And I did. This picture here of me running is my first triathlon. It was a sprint triathlon at Island Lake. And I also decided to stick not only one half Ironman, but 2, because I figured if I don't succeed at the first, I'd like another chance. And if I do succeed and like it, I'd like another chance as well. I did both. These are pictures from my first half Ironman in Frankfurt. It was a wonderful experience. My sister and my oldest daughter was there. And I really realized the importance of a team. I was new to all this, and they were so supportive through the whole thing. Of course, what comes next when you're with athletes? They start asking you, "Well, you did a half, you can do a full." I mean, that's double the distance. 2.4 miles swim, 112-mile bike, and then a full marathon at the end of 26.2 miles. That seemed like a lot to swallow, but could I do it? There is a sense of peer pressure in this sport, I have to say, and warn you all if you do engage in it. All the friends are doing it, so might as well, right? I found out that 9 other teammates were signed up for a race. I asked permission, of course, if I could do it. And I asked others why and when and how do I know if I'm okay and I'm ready to sign up. One person, Kim, said, "You have to know your why." I didn't really know my why, and this is why I hesitated to press that button to register many times. I figured I just want to prove to myself that I can do this. I signed up. I committed to it. Here it was, November 20th, 22, Ironman, Arizona, in Tempe. So I planned again. You sign up for these races almost a year ahead, so I went to the drawing board. I figured out what races I was going to sign up for to make sure I was the most prepared. It looked a lot like the year before, but then I had to increase a lot of my training. And then I had to learn how to believe in it. I still felt like I wasn't quite ready. I did all the same thing as the year before. How do I know I can actually do double that amount? I had to believe. There were moments of doubt, of worry. I had teammates that were doing 100-mile bike rides, and I didn't have the time for that. I had to be okay with doing 50 to 70 milers. I had to be okay with breaking up some of my workouts just to work around some of my family things. I had some teammates tell me, "You're not going to do it." because in their mind and in their plans, they had about 800-mile bike rides, and I had none. My friend Patty, she sent me a great podcast that said, you have to trust the work you've done. I started telling myself, I've actually been training for 2 years. I can do this. I learned from others. I had a great friend, Julie, on my team. She said to me, it is all in the mind, Nicolette. It's going to get hard. It's going to get hard through training, and it's going to get hard through the race. But it is all in the mind, and you have to learn through that process. She had a big mishap. This is Julie in the middle. She went to the World Championships in Kona. She broke her knee there. She told me, you have to plan and prepare for the worst, even though you want to stay positive through the race, because when you prepare and plan for the worst, you can see it in your mind, you know how to react, and you can finish. She finished. I also learned how to put air in my tires. I trained for months and did a few races without any air in my tires because I didn't know how to put air in my tires properly on a nice bike like this. All I was familiar with was recreational bikes. Well, I called that my resistance training, and I think I got stronger because of it in the end. I also learned that Body Glide is your best friend when you do triathlons, and you get burns like this if you don't use it. Arizona, we made it. 10 teammates, 10 family members, no pressure there, and many friends tracking us on site and worldwide. I was lucky to have my family there. They could see what it was about. And Ironman is so special. They have these opening ceremonies, the race itself with basically a buffet of food, and closing ceremonies, and it just makes you realize the passion and the power that people have in realizing their dreams. I did it. I got through that first swim, got to that starting line, 2.4 miles in 56 Fahrenheit degree temperature waters. It wasn't easy, and many people jumped in and turned right around and didn't even start. There were over 3,000 people signed up for that race that day. 2,500 actually showed up at the starting line. 80% finished, and only 20% of those were women. I was one of them. My time was 1 hour and 41 minutes, and the cutoff time was 2 hours and 20. Whew, I got through it. Got through the bike. It was a difficult one. Even the pros said it on many YouTubes that I watched. Going uphill against the wind and coming down fast. You had to do that 3 times. 6 hours, 37 minutes, and I finished that too. The run was a special thing. It's when you actually get through the fatigue. You fight through it just to hear and see that finish line. Special thing happened on my race for both Erica and I, a teammate of mine. She wrote this on Facebook, and I think it summarizes it all. She got hurt on that race. This is her shin. She ran into a bench in the middle of the run, or just in the first 5 miles. I found out about it, and I made sure to catch up to her. I found her around mile 6. And we decided we were going to run the whole rest of the thing together and support each other through the finish. We kept each other going. We were laughing so hard at one point near mile 20 that we were getting calls out from spectators and fellow racers. They didn't know what we had for breakfast that day, I swear. They didn't think that we were in any pain. We had so much fun, and we just said we're going to get through this, and we are going to hear that finish line, and we're going to hear Mike Riley call our names out and say, you are an Ironman, because that's what you work for. That's what all the sacrifice is for. Finished the run in 4 hours and 42 minutes with a smile on our face. Finished time in 13 hours, 23 minutes. And this is us celebrating. The biggest thing in an Ironman or anything you do is to celebrate it. Recognize the worth of the work that you've put into it. I'm going to show you what an Ironman finish is like.
Michael Bergquist, you're an Ironman, Michael. Erica Cook-Sugar, you are an Ironman. Nicolette Franck, you are an Ironman. Sean McLean, you did it, you're an Ironman, Sean. Eduardo Gonzalez, you are an Ironman. Congratulations.
I get chills still of seeing that every day. So the biggest thing that I learned from this is the why. The beginning, I didn't know my why. What emerged from doing this race is figuring out my why. That this is way beyond me and a finish line and a medal, and just proving to myself that I can do it. This was an opportunity for my kids to see their mother cross a finish line and know that they can do hard things too. My mom said that the experience of participating as a supporter was certainly emotional. One can't help but feel the pride for one's athlete, be amazed by everyone's effort, passion, and appreciate the magic of the human mind and body. My father used to always say a Henry Ford quote, whether you can or you can't, you're right. What I also learned is that that's true. But sometimes it's those around you that are right. Those that tell you you're strong enough to do this. You can. I didn't believe in myself entirely, and I had some doubt. But I told myself, I'm going to say it, I'm going to commit to it, I'm going to try. I'm going to do this. I'm going to live it, and I'm going to celebrate it, and I'm going to learn from it. So I encourage you all to join me in finding your Ironman. It's amazing what you can do if you actually say it. I wonder some days, if I didn't say it on that October 2020 day with Patty, would I actually even do a triathlon, let alone an Ironman? I encourage you all to find that passion inside of you, that thing that you've always wanted to do. Commit to it. That's how we grow. That's how we flourish. Thank you.